The biggest struggle for me is not living without kidneys, being on dialysis, or having a chronic illness, but I'm going to reveal it right now, my hearing impairment. Why? Before I get into the why, I want to share with you a short story, what actually happened. So I'm 95% hearing impaired by now. With hearing aids, I get about 60 to 80% hearing, depending on the situation, who is talking, uh, sometimes what people talk about as well. Um, but anyway, so that's what happened. I was 3 years old, 3.5. I had brain bleeding or a stroke. We never found out actually why or what happened. Um, I was a little bit sick in my mom's bed. My mom went out for buying cookies. Um, she was like thinking nothing serious is going on. And so I was lying, falling asleep. Later on, my second brother came into the room and he was kind of shocked because I was like, my face was blue. I was spitting out uh, foam out of my mouth. Um, so back in the days, that was like beginning 90s. There were no cell phones. So my brother, um, I don't know if he called the neighbor or he went to the neighbor and said, hey, we need help. My brother is really sick and something is not right going on. And so I think she called the crockery store, and in the crockery store, um, they basically, by the megaphone or the microphone over the speaker, they called my mother's name. And so she realized what's going on. She went quickly home, walking. She had to walk like 15, 20 minutes until she was there. Meanwhile, the ambulance was called. So I went to the next biggest university hospital and I was in coma for 2 weeks. And by the end of those 2 weeks, the doctors called my parents that they will need to turn off all my life supporting machines. Basically, there was no more hope, there was no more life, there was no more sign in my brain or body that seemed to come back. And even before that, that's what I heard from my third brother one time. They shortly before that, someday, they even talked about the funeral. And so my life was basically humanly and medically seen, it was finished. Anyway, my doctors called my parents to come to the hospital the last time to make basically the farewell before they turn off the life supporting machines. And so my mom, my dad, even as well, they spoke to me, and in an instant moment, I started to talk, and I still have that picture today in my brain. It's really weird what a coma does to you. Uh, Basically, a coma does, you know everything that's going on, but you just don't react. So I spoke words like, hey, mom, I want to go to the living room and play, because that was the last thing that I did before I went to my mother's bed that I was feeling sick back home, uh, 2 weeks before. So I came back to life miraculously. And I believe it was God restoring my life, because a human cannot restore himself. It's just not possible in that state. So what happened after, there was no, so in the coma, or when I come back to life and started to speak, I fell back into coma, came back, and I went back and forth for some time, until I fully restored. I think that, I don't know, maybe 1 week or 2 weeks more, I was on the IQ, and so it's incredible story. I'm sometimes still amazed by that story as well, what happened, and how God can intervene in the most lost, humanly possible, impossible situation that we think everything is finished now, but in an instant moment, He comes and changes the whole state of life. And I have experienced that 5 more times after that. According to the medical report, I should be dead 6 times by now. So yeah, that's it's amazing. I'm blown away as well. So what happened after the coming back to life, and everything seemed to be good in my brain, but a few months later, my mom realized that often I don't respond to what she asks or tells, and there were signs of that I don't respond. So it came out that I had a hearing impairment. Back then, I was around 85%. What happened is, um, I after the coma, a little bit after, I had a really high blood pressure, and I had to take around 10 to 15 different blood pressure medications. So we never found out, but I assume it either from the high blood pressure that my hearing got destroyed, or from the side effects of the medication. Either way can be possible. So that's how I lost my hearing, or part of it, or much of it, and with 4 years old. Since then, I'm having hearing aids, and so what happened is, why is it a big challenge? Because the hearing impairment, the hearing is one of the most sensitive organs we have, and because it has so many levels of different sounds, tunes, and decibels. So maybe you have heard before about the human hearing can hear between 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. Most people hear the the highest sound is around 15 to 17,000. It's ultrasound and infrasound. So, for example, a Batman, or I think Blue Whale, is as well in the ultrasound level of like more than 20,000. So we can't really hear those sounds humanly possible. And the infrasound is below 20. I think that because I don't know which animals are included in there. But anyway, what I know, an elephant can hear below 20,000. And a Batman can hear, yeah, above. No, sorry. An elephant can hear below 20. A Batman can hear above 20,000. And so there are so many ranges. And if you, most hearings get a little bit worse when we get older. For example, people above 20 years old, they are mostly not more possible to hear above 17,000. So people between 0 to 20 years old, they can hear maximum 20,000 hertz, and then it drops and drops. So if someone like me who had 85% hearing, 95 at the moment, uh, by the way, I just got new hearing aids like 2 months ago, 3 months ago, which is a big development to the ones I had before. But still, there is no change to make a hearing aid that is as sensitive as the natural hearing itself. It should not possible. Um, what one variation is that you can implant the snail inside. So basically, inside the hearing there's a snail, and if you want to know more about hearing, just Google it. It's so complicated. But anyway, it's basically a replacement, artificial replacement of the hearing, and then you can get an implant thing, and then it's a total different world because you have basically to learn for 1-2 years again all the sounds. Um, but then people say they can hear very well, um, but but once you change the snail artificially, it's gone. You cannot change it anymore. So if you take that uh, implantation or the connection out, you hear zero, nothing. It's like poof, black. You hear no sound. You hear no screaming, nothing. So I refuse to do that because as long as I can do hearing aid, I want to do them because I still, when I take my hearing out, I still can speak with people when they're like close to 1 meter, but it's really hard. So when people are like around me without hearing aid, and they're around me and I hear them talk, but I don't know what they're talking. For example, in the sauna or in the swimming pool, or whenever I have to take out the hearing aids that they don't get wet, I hear them talk, but I don't know what they're talking. So to the point, why is it the big challenge? So I say the hearing is so sensitive, so many tones and voices and different spectrums. It's firstly a big impact, negative impact on the mental state. Why? Because the brain is not anymore balanced. So here, I think here I hear a little bit better the higher tones, but not the lower ones. Here it's other way around. And so you don't have a balance in your everyday life, in your hearing, and which impact the brain more than someone can imagine. The second thing is the another mental state, the psychic state of how people perceive you. So when you go into a group of same or age people like me, 36, younger, and they see your hearing aids, they are like, yeah, this guy is probably not normal. It's different with all people because it's all people having hearing aids is more common than younger. And so they have a first perception of you, which I can feel. I'm a person of high emotional intelligence, and I feel what people think most of the time. So I learned that during my chronic illness. And so this is all what's going on. The third thing is, I myself not really hear um, the way I speak. So when you grow up with very young with hearing impairment, I speak word very unclearly at some time because maybe you have already realized that in the videos. I apologize for that. It's just improving or try to improve because when a healthy child learns to speak, it um, hears exactly words and every letter in it. But when I started to talk with, well, I started before, but I learned the word how I heard them. And so I'm usually hearing the the first and the second, no, the first and the last letter. What's in between, it either goes too fast for me. I will come back to that. We'll tell about that a little bit later, what happened. Or it's like I have to guess the word. And so I didn't really learn to speak clearly because I didn't hear it. So that's what happened today. So when you're somebody like me who is hearing impaired, um, I have to guess a lot of words because I just don't hear them. So the fourth thing is what I should say is um, through the hearing aid, the brain has a longer time to realize what the person said, even if it's like milliseconds. It makes a huge difference. It also makes a huge difference when I talk in groups, and people usually know when the person wants to the other person stop speaking a little bit before, long before I realize that they stopped to speak. Even it's like millisecond. So I'm like always behind it. So I'm like, okay, I actually wanted to say something, but the other person beside me already started to give an answer or a response or whatever. And so it can be really frustrating. And back to the unclear word. So when I speak with people and I'm a little bit unclear, it's hard for the other people to talk with me, which I kind of understand. But I'm also like, the world would need more patience and compassion. Um, Maybe that's too much expected. I don't know. So both sides, of course, improvement is needed for myself as well. And so this is a huge mental psychological challenge, and there are also a lot of traumas connected. A lot of times that I realized we were talking in a group, in family or with friends or with other group, and in the middle of it, I was like not really following anymore what people said, and I was asking like, hey, what's the matter about? What's the topic about? Or what did you just say? And most people they said like, it doesn't matter. And I was like, man, heck, for everybody matters in the group, but why shouldn't for me? And I was like, okay, then probably it's not important to ask anything. Um, so when you are a kid and you feel like um, something doesn't matter, what for the other matters, you feel like when you ask a question, you feel like, well, then my question or my stuff doesn't matter. So I lived up to that for many, many, many years until maybe mid of my 20s when I really learned to stand for myself and to ask again. And So it triggers me so much today still when somebody texts me or when I re-ask or I'm an overthinker by nature and I ask a lot of questions. So if something is not 100% clear for me, I'm asking again. And if the person responds like, it doesn't matter or the topic is finished, I'm like, shut up, I want to know. And it triggers me so much. So this is the bigger challenge than on dialysis and also cognitive negative influence that I have, cognitive, mental, psychical, psychological, and as well, this isolates me at times because it's hard for a hearing impaired person in this uh, unclear, I would say, overall, because most people or we humans never really learned how to communicate properly. It's a fact. Um, if you look at marriage, if you look at relationship, if you look in business, if you look whatever other areas in sport, it always comes down to unclear communication. Every problem, miscommunication all around. So we haven't really learned how to communicate. And this world, if you hear well, that's fine in the world because you get the point because it's much easier for you to hear. But if you don't hear well, it's like, well, what I'm going to do, and people are so fast paced. You know, sometimes I feel like people talk so much as there will be no tomorrow. Yeah, and so fast. And so this is the bigger challenge that I have in my life than anything else. And so, yeah, I hope it has given you a little bit of insight, um, what that means really, um, and tell me about in the comments what are your challenges. What have you learned from this video specifically? And what could you, what could be your part to make this communication thing in this world a little bit better, even if it's only like that much. And next time, if you have see or meet a hearing impaired person, just look if he has long hair or long hair and you should just look left and right first. Um, yeah, the woman is a little bit easier because you can kiss them left and right first, or you can if you if you meet a guy, you should hug them, give them some love, and you can just a blink, look at his ear if he has hearing aid, and then you know or you have the awareness how you have to deal with the person. The best way to deal with a hearing impaired person in any group setting, whether it's in a loud setting are even worse, in a restaurant, wherever, speak slower and clearly. So that's a life hack for you if you meet somebody hearing impaired next time. And so this was the video for today. Love you so much. Thank you so much for watching. And I'm looking forward what you have learned and tell me in the comment. Subscribe, like, and tell me as well if you like the content and what I can improve, maybe in my speaking, in my communication. Would be really appreciate that if you tell me. If you have my number, just tell me privately if you don't want to comment on YouTube. But speak with me, tell me. Yeah. Okay. Love you. Bye. See you next time.